Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Razovy, and today I want to talk about solo leveling, and specifically about the pacing of the solo leveling anime. Now, for the folks that don't know, I have of course read the manga completely, like I'm fully caught up. I read all of the chapters. This is incorrect, I read all of them. I guess I just didn't update it. And I am really into the solo leveling manga. Like I really enjoy this story. Now, sure, it has its flaws like anything does, but I think overall it is definitely one of the best stories that I've ever read. And when I saw that it would be getting an anime, I was really happy about that because I was like, wow, something that is this good will finally get the chance to also be animated and have voice acting. And it's a Korean thing, so it's taken into consideration that it's from Korea. The fact that it's getting an anime is kind of special. We don't see that all too often. So I think it's pretty cool that Japanese animators are trying to make this into something good. Now, as far as I know, I have watched Solo Leveling, the first episode at least, in both Japanese and in Korean. So with Japanese voice acting and Korean voice acting, I will continue watching it in Japanese. I didn't really like the Korean voice acting all that much. It wasn't really for me. But it is available in both languages. Now, like I said, today we will be talking about the pacing. And what I have noticed from a lot of people in the community is that they believe that compared to the manga, the pacing of the anime is really slow. And this, in theory, wouldn't make all that much of a difference if we would get, like, let's say 24 episodes or even more. But we're only getting 12. And taking into consideration that the Solo Leveling manga is incredibly long, it has a lot of chapters, the story is very grand, and a lot happens within this comic. So only having 12 episodes, and then basically the pacing being this slow, can't be that good, I would say. That's my opinion, of course, it's not fact, but that is what I believe, because I'll explain what happens in the first two episodes. Now, of course, these are in theory spoilers, but if you have read the manga, even if you've only read a couple of chapters, they're not spoilers because they barely cover anything in the manga yet. Basically, what happens is that we find our protagonist who goes into this dungeon with other party members, and they're basically almost wiped out. And then eventually we leave off in episode 2. We'll leave off with him basically sacrificing himself for the good of for the greater good for everyone else, right? That is where we leave off. And you might think, wow, that is like, those are major spoilers, right? That must be such a big deal in the story. But the problem is it's not. That is the beginning of the story. Now, I won't spoil anything besides these two episodes, simply because I'm not sure how far you're caught up. But if you have read the manga, you know that this part is like the literal beginning. It is the first couple of chapters. That's it. Taking 2 episodes for this is quite a long time, in my opinion. I think they could have knocked this out in 1 episode, because everything else that comes after this part, is way more important. Like I said, this is the beginning of this manga, and now also of this anime. So taking 2 episodes for that is, one of 2 things is going to happen. Either they're going to really just adapt into an anime, like only a very small part of this manga, like barely anything. That is what it looks like right now. Or they're going to skip a lot. Now, in theory, I can think of some chapters in Solo Leveling that in theory could be skipped. It wouldn't necessarily surprise me all that much if they would skip a couple of chapters. Because some chapters, although they add to the story, they will be really difficult when it comes to the pacing to really adapt it well into an anime. So I wouldn't mind them skipping some chapters, but what I'm personally really afraid of is that they're going to skip a lot. Or, which is in my opinion even a worst case scenario, they're not going to do that, and they're only going to basically barely animate anything, right? They're barely going to do anything. And frankly, although I don't want to be I don't want to be a negative Nancy here, but I really think that it's going to be the latter. I think they're barely going to do anything. And the reason that I think that is because this is the trend. This is what we have been seeing for a long time now. I'm not sure if you guys noticed, but if you go to just anime in general, right? You go to modern anime, things that are currently airing this time, like in this season, and if you take a look, if I take a look at, for example, something else, Delicious in Dungeon, Dungeon Meshi in Japanese, right? The manga is finished, but they are definitely 100% not going to cover all of the manga. I sincerely doubt that. They are going to cover more than Solo Leveling because there are 24 episodes, but I sincerely doubt that they will cover everything. Now, if there's a reason why they do that, because they want to boost manga sales. But this is something that we have been seeing basically with almost any anime. What we're seeing is that basically anime nowadays is just promotion material for the manga. Same thing with The Dangers in My Heart. We now have a season 2, which is great because season 1 was very well received, especially in Japan. For the folks that don't know, in Japan this was very well received. I wasn't really a fan. I only watched one episode. I wasn't a fan, but I didn't hate it. But I wanted to spend my time elsewhere. But this was very well received in the West, but definitely in Japan. So there's a second season now. The manga is still releasing, and basically this is just promotional material for the manga, and this is happening to anime a lot. Now, in the past, this was not the case with anime, but this is the trend that we're seeing right now. I'm not going to go into that whole spiel right now. This is just what anime is nowadays. Knowing that anime nowadays tends to be promotional material for the manga, I sincerely doubt that they're going to cover a lot in the Solo Leveling anime. Now, on the one hand, if we're lucky, we're getting a season 2, and then, we might actually see some really cool stuff being animated. If we're really unlucky, they're only going to, make an anime out of a very small part of the manga, and that's it. And then they hope that this will boost enough sales of the manga to make this worthwhile, which I'm going to assume that it will, because the manga is already very popular. It's selling well, both in Japan and also in the West. So this anime is definitely, this will boost sales. Like, I'm not really worried about that. It's just that it's a shame that is how they're going to use the anime. You know what I mean? It would have been better, in my opinion, to really do it justice and just cover a larger chunk of the story. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, like I said, I hope that they're just going to skip a couple of chapters and make this into something worthwhile. But the pacing is just off. Why do you need 2 episodes to introduce this character? The main character, look, I like the main character, but to be fair, there is not a lot to him. They could have knocked this out in 1 episode. Easily. For example, they introduced one of the main female characters, her also I believe in the 2nd episode, but they only show her off once, and that's it. If you have not read the manga, why add this in the 2nd episode? You don't even know her. Who cares? Just round off the story with the main character first, so that the actual story can begin. You know what I mean? Why spend time on her if you don't even know who she is? So, I don't know. I like the anime, but the only reason that I like it so much is because I know what is going to happen. I read the manga. I know that the anime is going to be good, because the manga is good. But the pacing is off, in my humble opinion. Now, what do you guys think? Is the pacing off, or is it just okay? Are you hoping for a 2nd season so that, everything will be okay, or don't you care? Have you read the manga, yes or no? Because if you haven't read the manga, please go do so. It is so worth it. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to thank you guys for watching. I was Razovy, and you were you. And I will see you guys later. Goodbye.